You're right. They wanted something. You have to wonder what that something was that would make two people endure this. Sad as it is, it can only be good for us if this was some private fight, some very personal vendetta. Well, best we get them buried. You want us to bury them? I will no leave them for the beast to gnaw on. We have the time and we have the manpower to dig a grave. Get us some shovels.
He watched Matthew walk away and then moved to take the man's body down. As he set the man's body next to the woman's, he frowned at the man's hands, something catching his eye, but he was not sure what. Scowling, he used a piece of the man's shirt to wipe the blood off the man's left hand. The gleam of a wide gold ring sparkled in the light of the sun. That told him that the killers had not been driven by the dark need to steal. No thief worth a thought would leave behind such a ring. This was born of some private battle, he thought again. He moved to the woman, straightened her tattered clothing as much as he could, and carefully wiped clean her left hand to reveal another gold wedding band. She also wore an ornate gold locket around her neck.
Got the shovels?
Matthew cursed when he saw the locket.
So, it was nae robbery? Nay.
Iain stood up and brushed off his clothes.
Then what reason did anyone have for killing them? I think trying to find the answer to that will take us time we dinna have. But,
Matthew sputtered, as Iain began to dig the needed grave, careful to toss the dirt away from the garden.
There is naught we can do except do them the courtesy of burying them. It is not much, but I think they have suffered more than enough already.
Iain kept digging, and only glanced briefly toward his brother, who began to dig as well.
Where is Robbie? Getting what we have to collect up this harvest. I told him to. Sorry as we are for these folk, it makes no sense to leave good food to rot.
Robbie arrived a few moments later. Iain could see the horror that filled the eyes of the man who was barely out of boyhood. For most of Robbie's life there had been little bloodletting done around him, and what little he'd seen still hit him hard.
See if there are any blankets or the like in the barn, Rob, he said. We cannot take the time to build coffins, but it would be nice if we could shroud the bodies.
Robbie nodded, his auburn hair falling into his eyes.
Why did they not take anything? I wanted these poor people to tell them something, I'm thinking, and I also think they didn't get that information, so they left. Go on, laddie. See if there is something we can use for a shroud.
As soon as his young brother was gone, Iain returned to the work of digging a grave with Matthew's help. He did not think these two people would object to sharing a grave. At least he prayed not, for he already had more than enough ghosts haunting him already. By the time Robbie returned with 2 blankets, well worn and smelling faintly of horses, they had dug the grave. Iain felt uneasy about just tossing the bodies in the hole, so he jumped down into the grave. It just seemed so disrespectful to throw them in the hole. He had Matthew hand each one down to him. Matthew handed down the man first, and then the woman, who Iain tucked up at the man's side. Pity filled him as he took a last look, then bent to open the locket the woman wore, wanting a brief look at what she kept there. He stared at the small portraits inside. The man stood tall, well-dressed and smiling on one side, and the woman was on the other, smiling sweetly down at the babe in her arms. They truly were a handsome couple, and much too young to see the end of their lives.
"Jesu," he whispered,
and scrambled out of the grave, still clutching the locket.
"She had a bairn, Matthew."
He showed his brother the pictures. They all looked to the cabin, and Matthew sighed.
"We dinna ken how old that picture is. The child may well have died long ago."
Closing the locket, Iain shook his head.
"True enough, but I have to look. I have to."
He glanced down at the bodies.
"Take the rings too, Matthew. They're the kind one would pass on to a child."
He turned to Robbie.
"Did you hear or see anything when you were putting out the fire?"
Robbie shook his head.
"Nay, but I was just looking for what needed water thrown on it. Keeping a watch on the fire took all my attention." "We have to look."
He stuck the locket in his shirt and started toward the house.
"They would have taken the bairn when they tried to flee,"
said Matthew as he followed his brother.
"There was no child with them." "That is nigh a big